We are back live on this Thursday, and right now we are going to be speaking with UCAIR. This is Utah's Partnership for Clean Air. Their Executive Director, Thom Carter, is with us right now. Thom, thanks for being here.
Good morning. It's great to be with you.
It's great to have you here with us today, right here on Mountain Connections. Tell me more about UCAIR.
The Utah Clean Air Partnership is an organization that works to ensure each Utahn first understands the air quality problem here in Utah and then identifies solutions that they can have for their family, themselves, their community, their business, ways to be part of the ongoing solution. As we know, in our efforts to clear the air, there are no perfect answers, but there are practical solutions. And we try to go out there and help individuals identify their own personal practical solution.
And when you look back at the past few months of 2020, how has the air been and what has specifically changed with our air quality, especially since COVID-19 hit?
Yeah, we know that about 50% of our emissions base comes from mobile sources or the vehicles that we drive. And when the governor had his initial stay safe, stay home order, we saw 40–50% of commuter miles and vehicles in general just come off the road. In the same time, we saw that same reduction in emissions, which was fascinating. And while that happened kind of in that March, April, May time period when typically our air quality is very good, it did set an interesting precedent in a conversation that we've been having all along, where we've been saying, telework is an interesting and strong practical solution, and can businesses and families and companies have conversation about telework being an ongoing solution moving forward. The last few months, of course, we've struggled because of the heat baked together with emissions causes an ozone problem. And we haven't had a lot of rain this summer, and that creates a late afternoon ground level ozone problem. And as, of course, we've entered into the fall, we have these wildfires. The wildfires from California and Oregon, that smoke doesn't know political boundaries, and that comes in here to Utah. But we've also had more wildfires in Utah than we've ever had, and a lot of those are human caused. And so that affects our air quality and really is a problem for us. We need to be aware of that and do our best to not start fires.
And how much is the smoke right now affecting our air right here in Utah?
Yeah, so it's interesting. It affects it. It drives up our PM 2.5 levels. It bakes into our ozone. But what's interesting is that smoke from other states, that is what you see, right? That causes a visual element. The local fires are a problem with our air quality. And so, we need to hope for storms. We need to do our best to drive down our own personal emissions, not add into it, but additionally, it does cause a problem for our lungs and for our air quality.
And Salt Lake City, all across the Wasatch Front, has horrible problems with the inversion. Maybe explain that for someone who isn't familiar with what the inversion is. And when you look back at last winter, it didn't seem to be quite as bad. As we look forward to this next winter, what do you expect?
Yeah, inversion is an interesting weather and geography problem, right? So we live down here in Salt Lake County and in kind of along the Wasatch Front. We live in a bowl surrounded by mountains on every side. And so when a high pressure system comes in, it creates a lid that traps our emissions, in fact, traps all the weather inside here. And that's an inversion. Now, there's the air quality piece of that is once the lid goes on, everything is trapped and pollution is doubled every day. But other things get trapped as well. So there are times when you can feel like there's an inversion going on, but a lot of it is fog. So we have to understand and see that there's weather here that plays a role in our geography and that we continue to drive down our emissions base. You're right, last winter we didn't exceed the standard. We had a handful of yellow days, but a lot of green days, no orange or red days last winter. And that has to do with a lot of things, but weather does play a big role in it. We had a warm weather, we had a wet weather, that's helpful. Those storms that come in, whether it's rain or wind or snow, we love snow here in Utah. It's good for our air, it's good for our economy, it's good for life, and that helps us along. As we look into the next winter, we're hopeful and bullish that we'll continue to have wet weather, that we will that'll help with our air quality. But what we have seen is as we've driven down emissions, we can go longer between storms, right? It used to be that once the lid goes on, by the third day we're going to get to orange or red air. But what we've seen now is that because we've done such a great job of driving down emissions, of changing behaviors, of finding ways to be part of the solution, it's not till the 5th, 6th, or 7th day. So we can spread out that time period between storms. So people need to continue to take responsibility, find ways to drive down their own emissions base, and we will continue to be successful during our inversion period.
So some things are out of our control, such as geography, weather, but there are many things that we can do to help with our air here in Utah. What are some current objectives and initiatives that are happening right now at UCAIR to help with our air quality?
Yeah, Christine, like we talked about, the main thing that people can do is just find ways to drive down their own mobile emissions, right? So think about ways you use your car. And think about what we did during the spring and into the summer with your own mobile source with your automobile. So you can do things like skip the trip or carpool. You also can trip chain, and then that's really as simple as just planning out your day so you're going from location to location to location instead of doing 1,000 back and forth trips and back and forth trips. Another thing that people can really be mindful of, especially as we've started back at school, is just being idle free. We have a big problem with idling, and you waste a lot of emissions with idling. According to the EPA, if you idle for 2 minutes, you burn as much gas as if you drive for a whole mile, and you're going to save a lot of emissions if you just turn your car off. It used to be that you want to turn on your car and warm it up before you drove it, but now that's old technology. Now you can turn on your vehicle and just drive. It doesn't need to be warm. You've got a catalytic converter. You're basically driving a computer now. Get in your car and drive it. And so just turn off your vehicle, be idle free. That's going to be part of the long-term solution. Additionally, we're working on, we've got great projects that we're working on up there in Park City as it relates to allowing people or putting in the infrastructure as it relates to electric vehicles and helping people find ways to charge that to eliminate what we call range anxiety. And electric vehicles are really strong as they are zero emissions in this region, and so those are good opportunities and options. So find ways for you to drive down your own mobile sources. Additionally, at your area source, which is your home, if you turn down your thermostat in the winter by 2 degrees or turn it up by 2 degrees in the summer, you're going to reduce your home's emission by 2%, which is a big deal. And so find just ways to just cut your own emissions. And then we talk about the economics principle of the aggregation of marginal gains. So if you do a 2% thing and I do a 2% thing and they aggregate together, that's 4%. We can find more people. All of a sudden, we're really doing great things.
Well, Thom Carter, Executive Director of UCAIR, thank you for joining us today and spending time educating us about Utah's air and helping us know what we can do to help out with better air quality. Head to ucair.org online for more information. They have some excellent resources on their website. We'll be back with more right after this.